Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. In this week's video, we've got a couple birthdays lunches. I'll show you some of the meals we made this week, as well as some of the baking and preparing we did for this week's flea market, and a little update on how our garden is doing. Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm a homeschooling, homesteading, spirit-filled, Torah-keeping mother of 10, and you are watching IHN Homestead. Colossians 3:23 states, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily unto the Lord, and not to men." I very much enjoy coming outside in the evenings. Everything is quiet except for the nature. The birds are singing their good night songs, and before long, all we will hear is the croaking of the frogs in the creek. I especially love coming up this hill and just looking over the fields and listening to the quiet. We're going to start off this video with some pictures from two of my children's birthday. My son Patrick and his little sister Emily were both born on the same day. So happy 15th birthday, Patrick, and happy 5th birthday, Emily. I love seeing these two together and remember how my son Patrick actually hoped that I would have this little girl on his birthday, and they've been best buds ever since. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 states, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not." Something that I'm really trying to focus on in the house is preparing meals, whether it's for the next day or for that evening dinner. I'm trying to get ahead and stay on top of things, which can be very, very difficult with a large family because you never know who's going to be crying, who needs mommy, who needs fixing or help. And so, but I had some time this night and I decided I'm going to get some breakfast prepped. And what had happened was Mary, when she made her bread, it never rose. And so we couldn't really use it for anything. And I thought, you know what? We will use it and we will make some French toast casserole. So I've got a couple small loaves of unrisen bread in that pan. I added about 2 dozen eggs and some sugar, and I'm going to sprinkle the top of it with cinnamon. And we are going to get this baked in the oven the following morning. And everybody really, really enjoyed it. And I was just very happy that when we woke up in the morning, all we had to do was pop this in the oven, and it really made for a great start of our day. And we decided to pair with it some homemade blueberry and cranberry jello. And I will show you here in just a minute how we did that. Every year I purchase about 100 to 130 pounds of blueberries from a friend of mine. And we go through and we'll either make blueberry pie filling or we'll just freeze them to use in smoothies or in baking. And this last year, I made some blueberry juice. And what I did is I just put about a cup or so's worth of blueberries in a quart jar, filled the rest of it with water, and then pressure canned it. And that made us our blueberry juice. We just let it set for a couple months. The longer you let it set, the more flavor you're going to get out of it. And I did the same thing with the cranberries. But the ratio that I am using for this recipe, I just looked up a basic homemade jello with a beef gelatin, and the recipe is as follows. You use about 4 cups of juice, any juice that you choose, 2 tablespoons of the beef gelatin, and about 2 tablespoons of sweetener. I chose honey for this recipe, and what I'm doing is I'm saving all the leftover, blueberries and cranberries because I'm going to use those later in some baking. I don't want to waste that. It'll be really yummy in some muffins. So in this little dish, I have about 2 cups worth of juice, and I have about 4 tablespoons of beef gelatin because I decided to use 8 cups of juice, make a bigger batch for the family so it goes along further. And I'm letting that sit in there, and that's going to get very, very gelatinous. And then I'm measuring out the rest of my cranberry juice and going to get that in the pan. And we're just going to bring this up to a low, kind of like a simmer where it just gets the little bubbles around the outside edges. And before we mix the two together. So I'm going to get my area cleaned up because I'm about to bring that over. And what I'm going to do next is I will be putting that mix right there, that gelatinous, juice, and I'm going to mix it into my nice hot pan of juice that I have on the stove. And once I get that all mixed in really, really well, because you don't want any clumps or anything falling to the bottom or sticking or anything, I will go ahead and I will pour in some honey. Now I just kind of measure and say, oh yeah, that looks like enough. It works. We haven't had any issues with it yet. And we'll get that all mixed in, and then we will pour that into the baking dish that you see there on the counter, and we will get that into the refrigerator to chill. And I really, really, really like making this stuff for the kids. It is a lot of fun. Alrighty, so next I am going to mix up a quick batch of dinner rolls. I want to get these done so they can have plenty of time to rise and get nice and fluffy. Well, as fluffy as I can get them with being fresh milled wheat. I'm still working on the fluffiness with that, but everything that I've read has told me that I can't really get that same type of fluffy texture with the fresh milled wheat like you can with all-purpose flour. But that's okay because I really enjoy the flavor and texture of the fresh milled wheat as to the all-purpose flour. It just tastes, in my opinion, so much better. And I know many, many of my children feel the exact same way. And so I'm going to get these going and get them ready to set and rise for dinner tonight. Next, I am going to put those muffins together that I told you about with the leftover blueberries and cranberries from the juice. This is a very simple recipe, a very easy recipe, and I'm not quite sure at this point when we were going to use the muffins, but we ended up using them later in the week at the flea market for a snack for the kids, just to help keep their bellies full throughout the day as we were sitting out there selling all of our produce. But I've got all my little helpers. As you can see, my kitchen is a mess, but I am still going. Something that I do is when I get into a baking mood, I don't stop and I just go boom, 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 one thing to the next. And I feel very accomplished. And yet sometimes I'm going, whew, that was a little too much. But again, the kids really enjoyed it. There's my little snitcher, Rebecca. She always comes up and finds something to eat. And if you watch, she's going to grab a little teaspoon and she's going to scoop up the flour off the counter. Like, girl, what are you doing? Oh, my son Jacob came in with an egg, and it's the biggest egg he's gotten so far. I know the camera doesn't do it justice, but this thing was huge. And so I wanted to show you guys because he was pretty excited about that egg. And look, there she is, my little snitcher, Rebecca. I can't ever leave her alone. But I think this was one of the last things that I had to do for that day that I wanted to prep and have ready and prepared for the week. So I'm going to start cleaning everything up and get my next pan out. Oh my goodness, you guys, I love this pan. My mom found it for me and she's like, hey, could you and Mary use this for all your baking? Yes, we can. It's so much easier. I can put 2 dozen muffins in this thing and it is fantastic. This is my first time actually getting to use it. I did not have any muffin liners, but that's okay. I just used some vegetable shortening, and we're going to get that greased and floured and all mixed around and get that ready so we can put the batter in without them sticking. And these muffins turned out very, very yummy. And I love the purple color from the blueberries. So there you go. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10 through 12 states, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life." One of the ways that I am really working to serve my husband is actually to do more things with the children, to be teaching them and spending more time with them on a one-on-one basis, like I had mentioned in a previous video, because I'm finding that as I do this, the relationship, of course, grows. And the kids, when daddy gets home, they're just less chaotic. They're more calm because it's like they got their fulfillment and they got that need met during the day. So when my husband comes home, I'm trying to have the house in a more calmer state because sometimes he doesn't get home till later in the evening, and I like him to be able to come home to a peaceful home and not having children running around like crazy, going everywhere. And one of the other things I've been working on is just making sure that the house is picked up, that the laundry is put away, so that when he comes into the house, he can just sit down and relax in a nice, cool house. Things are picked up, it's not a mess, and he can just decompress after a long stay at work. But right now, you see my little man Adam, he was very insistent that he was going to help make one of the batches of cookies for the flea market this week. And I added a cookie to our list and we added snickerdoodles. And that is what he is helping me make right now. But he told me, he said, "Mom, just tell me what to do and I can do it." So that's what I am doing. I am instructing him on what to do, and he is doing it. And he was very proud of himself, and the cookies turned out really good. I actually noticed that they had more of a buttery flavor and not a cake-like texture, but a softer texture. And I really, really liked them. They were very delicious. So we will keep making these for the flea market. But this is just, again, some of that one-on-one time that I'm spending with Adam and doing things with him. And of course, the other kids are around. They're off playing or doing their thing, or you got Peter right there being silly in the background. But we were having fun. Everybody was enjoying themselves. And the best part of it was he got to lick off the whisk and I got to try a little piece, and it was delicious. One of the other things that we tried adding to our flea market goodies this week were Rice Krispie treats. I had tried initially doing Rice Krispie treats a couple of weeks ago and they did not go over well. I made them in giant 3 by 3 by 2 inch squares. I thought having a nice large gourmet Rice Krispie treat would sell well, and I was wrong. I think I only sold one out of all of them that I made. But hey, the kids thought it was a win because they got to have the rest. So, oh well. But I had a bunch of marshmallow fluff left over, so I decided this week to buy some more Rice Krispie treats. And we were just going to do it the quote unquote normal way, where we would just make regular size Rice Krispie treats, cut them up, and place them on a plate and put them in a baggie and put them on the table. Well, guess what? I sold every single one this week at the flea market. So I was super excited. So this will be something that we do again every week now since they went over so well. And here we go. Adam's helping me and he's going to get the butter in the pan. We're going to start getting that melted. I already have all the Rice Krispie measured out, and we are going to get these Rice Krispie treats put together. Do you guys remember all the bags of beans that I had purchased? I just now started canning them, and I believe I had 59 quart jars of beans to can, and we got them all done. And these will go on the shelf in the pantry for this winter. This is just one of the other things that I did this week. I had a very busy, productive week. And here we are. Later in the week, we are all set up at the flea market. I added a lot to my table. I went through my sewing room and got rid of a whole bunch of my fabrics. And my daughter Mary still had some of her flowers left. We had 15 vendors here this week, and it was a beautiful, busy day. And here are those blueberry cranberry muffins, and everybody was enjoying them. They were a really nice addition to our lunch that day. My husband, the absolute darling that he is, worked at the garden this week, and I didn't realize it. And I was like, honey, I didn't get to take a video. Well, he went and had the boys, the older boys, load up some of the manure that we have at the house that's been sitting in the backyard for a couple years, and he had them loaded up on a trailer, and he took the trailer over to the garden, and he manured around the plants. Yes, I have a mess to pick up, but I got to that later on in the week, and it looks beautiful now. But the plants are doing really well. We got the garden nice and watered. I ended up showing up later that day so I could video all the work that he had done and get to look at everything to see what's popping, what still wasn't growing yet, to see if anything needed any help. We were able to give the garden a really nice drink, which it's very desperately needed because it was super, super dry. But it was a beautiful night to do it. We had just a couple, I think, of the kids with us this night, and we got to spend some much needed one-on-one time together. And I had to take a look at the mulberry tree because my kids were getting really excited about eating these mulberries, and I will show you in a later video how we collected them and some of the yummy things that we made with them. So stay tuned. So yes, we did have a very busy and productive week, but it was not all work, I promise. The flea market was fun. Something else that was fun is my son Jacob got his baby chicks in, and these are the white Jersey Giants that we ordered back in February on his birthday, and they just got shipped this last week, and everybody was in love with them. It's so sweet, and these little guys and gals are very, very cute. So we really enjoyed that. Something else we did to end the week is I took the kids fishing. My husband was down with Revive Ohio. He was down in Columbus doing a street ministry down there, and he also got to spend some time with the pastor that married us, Pastor Jim Adams, over in Zanesville. And so this was just a fun day. I took the kids out and we went fishing, and we really, really just enjoyed being outside. Everybody, I think, caught a fish. Maybe not quite everybody, but everybody caught a fish. And you guys, it was beautiful, and it was so relaxing. And then that night, we did nothing but watch movies and ate popcorn. I'm going to end this video with some graduation pictures of my eldest son, Michael. I love him very much. My little baby is now a young man, and I am so very proud of the young man he has become. I love you, Michael. That is it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed the time you got to spend with my family. And remember, Colossians 3:23 says, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily unto the Lord, and not unto men." Thank you. God bless.